Indiana Jones, guys. I wasn't entirely caught off guard. It was a great film. It was a great film, and you expect nothing less from a performance from Harrison Ford. I was a bit skeptical about it because I didn't realize, or I wasn't sure what it would be like if Steven Spielberg wasn't involved in the directing. We know he was an executive producer, but the directing, that's really what caused me to be a bit iffy about seeing this movie, but I enjoyed it thoroughly. I was in the movie with a couple of older ones, people who probably were there for the original release of Indiana Jones in the early days of yesterday. But it was really good. Let's talk about that plot. So Indiana finds himself a little bit out of the action. He is dealing with the mundane things of life in the 70s, and a mystery falls right into his lap. In fact, something draws him back to one of his last adventures in connection with Nazi Germany. Now, one of the things that I can appreciate about this film is the continuity of it. It literally gives you a nice feel for the older films. When you're developing a plot and you're adding a movie into a saga, as it were, you want to make sure that you don't lose the original quality of the film that made it amazing. And that's what we got. We got an Indiana Jones movie, and I loved every bit of it. It was breathtaking. And for Harrison Ford to be of age, it's really good. Like, Tom Cruise would definitely watch out, but he did a really good job. I really enjoyed his performance. We know that Le Chiffre was the villain in this film. He plays the doctor, but we also know him from James Bond Casino Royale, and he did a good job. He always plays the villain. Very gruesome, very, very vindictive villain, and I just appreciated the performances there. It was a nice story arc, good plausibility, and it was smooth. You could follow along with the characters, and you felt like you were watching an Indiana Jones movie. Number 2, the attraction. Entertainment value. Yeah, you're going to be attracted to it. It's Indiana Jones, for goodness sake. I'm not going to say that it's going to bustle out of control and people are going to go wild for it, because we know that it's being released very close to Mission Impossible Dead Reckoning, but you will be entertained. I love the action sequence right from the start of the film. You jump right into one of Indiana's adventures. There's a nice, beautiful car chase scene that takes place, just giving homage to the classics, and you're entertained. You will laugh sometimes, you will chuckle, and it's nice that they brought quite a few people back from the olden days of yore. Number 3, the identity and depth, aka the theme. When I'm thinking about identity for a film such as Indiana Jones, one of the things is his signatures, his hat, his whip, as it were. These are signatures, and I love the way that they threw them in there. Like, for example, there was a nice comedic scene in connection with his whip, him trying to get himself out of a situation, and then modern times presenting how they get out of situations. I thought that was hilarious. The humor was there. It was good, and it was just nice that they kept that theme going, and the depth of it was miraculous, because now Indiana is trying to cope with the life that he's living now. He's going through some family issues. He's mentioned some circumstances around his son, and so we all can identify with that. And so it was very real, very practical, good theme in connection with this film. Number 4, the acting. I touched upon it a little bit earlier. Acting was spot on. The character development was really strong. There were no plot holes as far as I could gauge, because I took my notes, but it was good. Like, I'm not gonna hold you guys. Like, the characters, they definitely did their thing. I was worried about Harrison Ford because he is an older type of person, but other than that, the performance was strong. It was spot on, and they didn't make Indiana more than his age. Like, for example, if he's supposed to be, let's say, 75 years old, they didn't have him doing backflips and things that were outrageous simply because he's Indiana Jones. They definitely kept that nice, strong pace according to the characters and their performance, even down to his villain. His villain was also of age because of circumstances. So I thought that was a really, really nice way to show that number 4 acting was really good and strong. Number 5, the dialogue. Good dialogue. I do appreciate when a movie has established a record, right? And it's a constant familiarity with audiences. The dialogue is important. And so there are times in the movie where he talks about how he had to deal with voodoo dolls, how he had to deal with this and that and this. And so if you're a fan, if you've seen all the movies like I have, then you'll know that he's referencing other movies. And that just makes you feel good. It makes you feel like you're a part of something. And I thought that was really good. Number six, cinematography. There was a scene that I didn't like. I mean, sometimes it was good, sometimes it was bad, but this one particular scene that really bothered me was the train scene. In the beginning of the film, there's a scene where Indiana is running across a train, and he looks like he is a computerized human just leaping on this train. I thought that could have been a little bit better. And so just to because of where technology is at today, I'm going to have to dock him 1 point back for the cinematography because, come on, guys, and especially with a sequence that is developing such as that and there's so much going on top of the train at that point, it should be a little bit more realistic and a little bit more believable. And there was something else I wanted to mention, too, about the storytelling and the context, going back to number 5. One thing that I really liked was the fact that even though Indiana goes on these similar adventures, they always find a way to make it different than the last. So dealing with the Dial of Destiny, I didn't feel like I was watching Indiana with the Ark of the Covenant. And that made me feel good, and that kept the entertainment rolling because it's good to keep that same theme and identity and storytelling and context, but you don't want it to be repetitive because your viewers are going to get bored and literally zone out. Now we're jumping to number 7, editing, pace, and effects. Very, very nice pace and effects. Guys, you literally start with this movie from point A, and they take you all of the way to point Z, and you feel good about it. I thought that the pace was good, especially dealing with the time frame that Indiana is dealing with. They did a phenomenal job. They really did a bang-up job. Number 8, the soundtrack, my favorite. You know Indiana has a theme song, and while I'm watching this movie, I'm taking my notes, and I'm looking to myself like, okay, I hope that they get this theme song down packed, because if they don't mention this theme song, if they don't reference it, then we're out. A lot of that old classic Indiana music was in this film, and I felt like I was watching an Indiana Jones film, and that's what really drove it. So the soundtrack was definitely spot on. They didn't have crazy modern music in it. They didn't have, different artists in there featured trying to get the popular audience, but they stuck true to the fans, the people who grew up with Indiana Jones, who are now adults, senior citizens, some of them, and that really, really brought it home for me personally. Number 9. So this one is going to be quite interesting because this is the directing. And one of the things that I was worried about was the fact that there's a new guy on board. So originally, every Indiana Jones movie was directed by Steven Spielberg. But this one, it's James Mangold. And I'm not going to lie, I don't know if he got coaching from Steven Spielberg because Steve was the executive producer, but he did a phenomenal job, man. He really did a phenomenal job down to the action, the punching, the kicking, the sequences in which there's a scene where Indiana's riding a horse through the city. He really did a good job with the vision and execution. And what else more would you expect from a film like Indiana Jones? I'm always looking for the next best thing. So when I review these movies for you guys, I'm not just throwing in my personal opinions, or I'm just telling you what the facts are, how they were represented, if they were represented properly, and just going for it. I want you guys to go into a movie and feel good and thrilled. Number 10, my favorite, the it factor. What was the it factor that made Indiana Jones' Dial of Destiny stand out? I would have to say that what I really, really loved about this film was the fact that Indiana was coping with a new set of circumstances. So in the first several films, he is young, he's vibrant, he has his energy, etc., but now he's slowed down a bit, and his glory days are behind him, and he's trying to find himself in a normal society. He's trying to find himself just as the regular college professor doing his thing, making ends meet, etc. So for me, that's an it factor because all of us can relate to that. A movie is only as good as the audience is able to relate to it. You guys get it. We just came out of a pandemic not too long ago. We're going through getting back or accustomed to certain things. So we all know what it's like to try to pick up life, as it were, from coming off of crazy adventures, crazy circumstances, tragedies, and then to see Indiana prevail over that and then grow as a result of it to the end of the movie where he is fixing and repairing some issues that he clearly were having. That is the it factor for me. The one-of-a-kind and transcendent thing that's going to make this movie top the rest. Indiana's growth throughout the entire film really was done very well. Well, guys, that's all for the cinema scale this time around. Don't forget, we have many more movies this summer to put on the scale for you guys. If you want to know what makes a movie great, don't forget to click the next video. Okay, that's going to be able to let you guys know what makes a movie great. And then there's another video that's going to be able to help you to see what makes a movie not so great. So, all in all, Indiana Jones, Dial of Destiny, I do recommend that you go see it because I'm giving this a rating of 9 out of 10. I was entertained, I did enjoy it, and I would catch it again on streaming. Other than that, guys, the Cinema Scale loves you. Peace out and be easy.